All right, so um, I'll be looking over this gameplay from Homee777. I think that's how I say your name. If I butchered it, I apologize in advance. Anyways, you play mostly Hog and Queen this game. I went ahead and watched pretty much the whole game, um, and I think your primary issues are your positioning. Um, you're kind of positioning too stacked with your team a lot of times, and like forcing fights at really awkward spots where you're not giving your teams opportunities to like actually like play into Hog's strengths, right? I'll demonstrate what this looks like in the replay, but generally Hog needs his team to be spread out and take multiple angles and like punish people through walking through choke points and stuff like that by pressuring these multiple different angles, right? If you force your team to stack with you, you're kind of like taking like forcing yourself into like more so brawl fights, which Hog isn't very good at, especially when you're like forcing yourself to peek into the enemy team a lot of times, right? You just explode a lot of times because you decide to do this. Um, Secondly, I think you need to work on your cover usage. I think you take a lot of unnecessary damage and peek a lot of enemies where you don't actually have to, and this forces your supports to heal you a lot, and you end up dying as a result of it a lot, or get like a ton of cooldowns forced from your team, way more often than it should be. Um, and thirdly, I think you need to be more aware of your own resources. And by that, this is intentionally kind of vague in general, but I typically mean your HP and like breather resource, right? You're pushing a lot of times when you have really low HP and really low breather, when you just should be looking to just wait for a second, let the enemies peek you, and punish them for like peeking into your teammate's position and your position, right? And not like continuously forcing your supports to have to like heal bot you, because you're peeking at the wrong times, right? It's sometimes a cooldown issue too, but I think primarily right now in this gameplay, you're just peeking when you don't need to, when your HP and breather are low. You play most of the game on Hog, or at least on defense, right? So of course most of this advice is tailored towards Hog, but like I see pretty much the same issues, positionally, cover usage wise, and like resource awareness on other characters. Of course, like Queen, you play Queen mostly on offense, and she doesn't have breather, but you're still kind of peaking a lot of times at the right time. I'm sorry, at the wrong times, and kind of not like giving your team opportunities to do stuff because you're peaking at like incorrect times, right? Um, so for a bit of context, by the way, I apologize if my voice is a little rough. I'm still a little sick. It's mostly over, but I may just intermittently have to pause for a second to mute my mic to cough or something like that. Um, or do stuff like that. I do find it funny that you call Hog the punishing bag. I think that's pretty funny. I don't know if you meant the punching bag, but I think it's pretty accurate to call him the punishing bag. Especially now, he's like very punishing for whoever plays him. He's not very good. I don't think Plat5 console is really going to make a difference what character you play. Just for reference, Hog is by far my best character. I got on to the top 500 elo multiple times throughout Overwatch's 2's lifespan. I haven't really played much recently, especially 5v5. Um, but yeah, he's my favorite character, so I can definitely help you a lot with Hog. So here, I don't really think there's a lot of value from standing up high in the sky, right? You might as well just play low ground. This isn't gonna make or break the game. It's just kind of funny, but whatever. Right here, so like right now, this is not a time you want to be peeking the Ashe because she's too far away to get hooked, right? And she can just farm you, right? I mean, I guess you can like distract for your Ashe yourself, but as Ashes get better, right, and they get more higher ranked, one, they're not gonna be standing in the open, and two, if they see you're just peeking at this long range, they're just gonna completely ignore you, and just shoot your Ashe if she's peeking, and if she's not peeking, you're just gonna get farmed, right? Um, you have to let the cart get a little further up before you start peeking like the back line, And generally speaking, their tank isn't going to be Winston on this map. Usually when you rank up, Sigma is going to be like the meta. But even in higher ranks, you'll see a lot of random tanks on all maps. But this is like, it turns out to be a good time to peek because as you see there, Winston just kind of jumps into the hog. Yeah, nice. Good kill. Right, so here, I don't think you know they have a Mercy quite yet. I think you could have seen that the Ashe is getting pocketed, right? She had the blue beam earlier when you peeked. So if you saw that, right, you should be trying to deny the res because Hook has a pretty fast cooldown, right? You can shoot the bubble and just walk into her and just hook her and kill her, or you can even walk this way and just shoot her, right? You have options. One, you shouldn't be like so scared of holding this corner like right here right now, because you can just break the bubble in like a shot or two. And by like furthering back your positioning, right, you're actually making it easier for the team to push you, because they're running a lot of snipers, right? And they don't want to like turn corners this close to a hog. They want to be like really far away outside of your hook range or outside of your shotgun range. And like you got rid of the tank, which is the only person on their team that can like really win the sustain war against you, right? So there's no reason to be this scared right now. You can just kill the tank and literally just stand here and wait for them to over peak and like keep shooting, right? It's kind of a positional thing, right? And you're just kind of LOSing. You're taking no damage from here or here, right? So you might as well be as close as possible to impact the fight, as consistently as possible, right? Even if you get naded here, you're still gonna be perfectly fine. Your Weaver has pull, and again, their tank's dead. And like if they want to peek you, right? This is kind of like the important thing about forcing angles this hog, right? If they want to peek you, they have to come here, right, and shoot you here. Which like, look how bad that is in terms of their your Ashe, right? If they just swing the corner wide, they have no cover, and their Ashe can shoot them for free or come up here, right? Which means your Ashe is perfectly safe, and you're not gonna get one shot, right? Because you're a tank, and your Ashe just has free access to anyone that's not up here, right? So those are like kind of their options. They have a few more, but like that's kind of it. So unfortunate. Kind of no reason to rush the hook there. This is a time to be giving up the angle, right? Because you're down one, and I think your Mercy already burnt res. I think your Ashe died earlier on or something. I'm pretty sure someone died earlier on, and regardless, your Ashe died way too far away from your Mercy. So yeah, it's perfectly fine to be backing up here. Get slept. This backing up's fine. I will say, right, cover usage thing, you're actually safer right here than you are right here. I'm sure you can see why that is, probably in retrospect. Obviously now, like, the enemies have LOS on you here, right? But if you're just standing right here, you could just 1v1 the Winston more or less and just be perfectly safe, right? The Winston does like only 70 damage per second. So it's basically impossible for him to ever kill you as hog unless your entire team's dead, right? No reason to back up and waste your entire breather. I mean, it's not a total waste because of course you get the damage resist, right? But you obviously could have played that a lot better there, right? Here, right? You're kind of in the open again. You kill the Winston, which is good. You don't want the Mercy to get a res. You don't want to be sitting here. You either want to be committing to like here, right? Or committing to like pushing here. Right there, Anna still doesn't have sleep or nade. Or she might have nade back. Oh, I guess she hasn't. Wow. She just got him back. So it's definitely a little risky to push too far. She literally just got him back. After I just killed the Winston. So yeah. But standing at this car kind of in the open, so you're just taking a lot of damage for no reason. Forcing your supports to pocket you instead of like pocketing your Genji here, it's kind of tough, right? But you're still distracting them, you're still getting decent value, right? But just something to keep in mind. You did the hard work that fight. Small optimization. I don't like playing hog on console. I don't really play hog. Sorry, I don't play console at all. I don't like playing with controllers. But you're aiming too high, right? You shot a little too early. You actually could have one-shot the Ashe there. If you aimed a little bit further down, stepped into your hook a bit more. Unfortunate. No need to do that. It's okay. Here, right, their entire team died. You have a second or two to get a little bit more aggressive and try to get a better hook in here. Just get a little closer, but it's okay, right? I will say if you get the hook on the Winston, right, at the very least you force out his bubble, and chances are he might actually just die right now because you'll pull him into your entire team, right? And he can't get healed obviously because his entire team's in spawn. So, right, going at that moment, you should like kind of keyed in that he was just overextended, just by the spawn rate of his team. It's still okay to like go for that there, but just keep in mind his entire team's back by the time you go for this hook. So there's a chance that the ad is gonna be around the corner, right? And I say it's okay here because the only person with the Winston here is the Ashe. You're not gonna die to that, but you are gonna get like a ton of damage, right? Unfortunately, you didn't need that. Here, right, you're kind of peeking the corner too wide, right? No reason to be swinging the corner this wide. Look how this looks from their perspective, right? Just be a little bit more principled with how you peek cover, and you'll avoid like making yourself an easy target, right? Let me show you from the Anna's perspective. Look how exposed you are here, right? If you're one closer to the cover, right? So your player model only peeks out like, you know, less because you're closer, or you're peeking like slower from this angle, like the wide angle. Either way, right? Depends on the exact angle you want. Not that important right now, but you just don't want to be swinging that wide, right? You don't want the enemies to have that easy of a shot on you because there's a ton of damage. Kind of no reason. Good, kill the Winston, right? Here, once you kill the Winston, you should be kind of looking to pressure something else, right? Unfortunately, their Widow kind of takes a decent angle, and based on what the card is, it's kind of awkward for your team to like heal you from this angle. So you know, this is kind of on them. They shouldn't be like peeking this Widow for no reason. You can okay, I guess that's maybe you pinging her. But like once this happens, once the Widow gets a pick and they bob, what you should be doing is trying to run away, right? Because the Widow is kind of swinging wide and your team's in a bad spot at this position. And like if you take this fight, you get slept and aided, you can definitely die, right? They have too many angles on you guys right now, and you had an opportunity to kind of escape behind cart a little earlier, right? Or try to like shoot the Ashe and get the pick on her or something like that, right? When she was peeking with the bob. Oops. But you just kind of sit out and just you're trading damage for this with this Widow for no reason, right? She's peeking you. You see you're not like doing anything to her, and it's not because your aim sucks. It's because like this range, when you don't have hook, you can't do anything, literally. I mean, she's just going to farm you. Or she's just going to farm your team, right? Because you're kind of forcing them to play in this position. To heal you, of course. Skip forward a little too far, apologize. A little too far again. Small tip, if you see your teams fighting around a corner, right, and you see people on your stream, just throw down a trap beforehand. Just the one shots more consistent, right? Good follow up from your team. That's fine. You couldn't have contested that anyways. Like chances are, because your Kira used Suzu, if you walked in, you was gotten nade and like blown up by their team. So you have to get that one up. This is kind of like the positional issue right here, right? You're kind of forcing your entire team to play this tunnel again, kind of similarly to first. Granted, on first, it kind of sucks because like snipers are just really dominant on this map. But now you don't have that. You don't need to make that choice, right? You can play inside, and your team has a lot of closer angles to play. To annoy their team, right? And you can still play these like medium, close to medium-ish long angles to still get value as hog, right? But like over here, you're forcing your entire team to stack on one angle, right? And you're just continuously peeking into their entire enemy team, right? You see like how bad this is for you. When you should be like forcing them to peek into your entire team first, right? Good hook save on your Kiri. I will say this is one of the reasons I don't like Hog on console, because hook techs are really like way harder to pull off. So you can see here, like you have a lot of risk, but the enemy Hog doesn't, right? If you hook the Hog, he lands right here, and only two of your teammates are peeking him, even if like all your entire team is here, right? You just like have to walk here, and he's perfectly safe, right? But if you get hooked, look how bad your positioning is, right? You're in the middle of his entire team. And like your way to LOS him is to walk all the way over here, right? So you just don't want to be taking the fight here. You want to be rotating back into like the indoor area, right? And taking angles where your team can set up in multiple spots instead of like being stuck on this really awkward long angle, right? Where it's hard for them to help. See, because you're taking a fight here, part of the problem is you get hooked. It's gonna happen sometimes, but another problem is like this is not a good spot to like fight in, right? Because like see how far away you get pulled, you're just in way more danger than the enemy hog, right? Because like their sight lines just based on the map are way better than yours on him. So you force out Suzu, and tree wasn't necessary, but it gets used anyways, right? Here you have an opportunity to escape, right? He stops pressing forward. You have an opportunity to pretty much like trade nano for a tree, right? And let the fight end, right? And just escape and just stabilize with your team because your Somber just died, but you continue to fight here again, right? When you're down in resources like HP or breather, right? You're also low breather, low on HP. You don't want to be fighting. Of course, low on teammates too. That's kind of why I generalize saying like you don't want to, or you want to keep better track of your resources. And so generally it's HP and breather, right? But it's your teammates and your cooldowns as well, other cooldowns as well. No reason to be fighting that, right? You had an opportunity to escape. It's not like they have speed or anything.
Sniper, don't get shot.
So here, right? You're down one right now, but they do have mercy, right? So I'd expect them to res. You can't really do anything about it because your teammates staggered themselves. So they're literally not peeking at all right now. But maybe signal to your Weaver that he shouldn't be fighting at all, right? If he dies, he dies. Unfortunately, nothing you can do about it. One thing you can do is preemptively set up like over here, so you can't get shot by the people on cart, right? And create an angle for your team, so the enemy team cannot peek here, for example, right? Obviously, at this position, at this timing, you can't stop the Mercy from getting the res off because she's right here, and it's going to take too long. But you're perfectly safe from the hog on cart. You're perfectly safe from the Ana on cart, and you don't know where the DPS are exactly from this position. Actually, you can see the Ash. You don't know where the Mercy is quite yet, but that's okay. You can see it's like pretty safe right side, right? Here, right, just kind of taking like 300 damage there for no reason. And you're just kind of stuck stacking with your team, right? And because you're kind of like sitting in the same spot, right? It's really easy to predict where you're gonna like re-peak from. So the hog, like you're making it really easy on them, right? They saw you last peak there, so they're gonna expect you're gonna peak there, and you see you already have effectively 4 players looking at you, right? Damage boosted Ash plus the Ana plus the hog. Like it's really predictable where you're gonna be peaking from, right? So you're making it really easy for these people to like punish you for peeking at a bad time, right? Again, because you kind of like peak at a bad time, because remember you're down players there, and you're peaking without like creating an angle for your team. You get all these cooldowns forced from your team, right? You don't have pull anymore, and you don't have Suzu. So like if the Ana nades you, you're probably dead, right? Here, don't look at the hog, right? If he's gonna go for your team, look at the Ana, right? You probably at this point could have waited for the hog to push forward because you have Hoggle, and if he overextends, he can die. But again, this is kind of awkward positioning because you just didn't split from your team, or like not necessarily split, but create an angle for your team early enough. But at this position, don't look at the hog, right? You should be looking to kill the Ana, so she can't get value from her cooldowns, right? You know she has both of them. Again, you take this really long rotation, right? Completely ignoring the Ana to chase the hog. But you weren't, because you dropped, you weren't in a position to deny him, right? You either had to stay up at this time, right? Because you just didn't do the correct thing like 15 seconds earlier, or just expect him to walk in. Honestly, at higher ranks, if he does this, he's just going to get insta-killed. It's just odd he did it, but you can't like drop, right? Ignore the Ana and just like follow the hog like this, because look how easy it is for the entire team to shoot you, right? Like, I mean, it's a few seconds ago. I'm not going to rewind here, but like once you kind of commit to an angle, you have to play that angle and like force the enemy team to respect you and not just help their hog, and let your team deal with the hog in that position, right? You can't do both because you just peak the enemy team too much and get punished right now. And no breather, right? That's a consequence of you getting hooked earlier and just wasting your breather. Right around here, right? So when you're low on breather, right? Don't peek. Especially don't peek the same angle like that. And you're still low on breather. You can't go for like these plays in front of the enemy team, right? You even saw the Anna. You even saw the Ashe. But that's okay. Obviously, this fight's kind of over. Kind of a lot of goofy decisions made there, but that's okay. I'm spending a lot of time like trying to hammer in this point because it's just very important, like almost tank 101, right? You just don't want to. I mean, some tanks aren't like Hog where you want to create angles for your team. It depends on the matchup, but like Hog's pretty much always that tank. So it's very important for him. And you're just on all tanks, it's generalizable when you're down on resources like your HP, your cooldowns, or your teammates. You just don't want to keep peeking, right? You want them to the enemy team to overextend and punish them for it. Like the vast majority of the time. Here, I don't like fighting here again, right? Because your entire team is presumably going to be like set up on this angle here. I mean, it's a little different because your Genji's already in the back line, your supports are here, right? But like, I'm sure you can see it's kind of like an awkward fight because they have the same angles on you that they do on them, right? And you're kind of like banking on the fact that you'll hit the hook first and not get lit up at the enemy team at the same time, right? So what ends up happening is like you take the even fight when there's no reason to, because you take it too early, right? At these really like awkward angles where your team hasn't had time to like split up, and the enemy team is already set up because they just won the previous fight, right? And like just hoping your team is gonna get the better mechanics, right? So down 2, this is a good opportunity to run, right? Especially they use Widow walls when your team's already down 2. Literally just run away so they don't get value out of the walls, right? No reason to even peek. Here, they're kind of like baiting you into fighting here. This is not a good position to fight, right? You're opening yourself up to these people down here, right? I'm sure you can see I'm not going to go all the way down to their position, right? Show you exactly. You're also opening up the people here, right? If your Sombra dies right now, it's kind of on her, right? There's nothing you can really do. I mean, you can play literally like right here and try to hook the Mercy or something. That's a really like a risky play. And if you miss and you get like slept or hooked, you're 100% dead, right? So it's not really worth the risk. And because you're down on players, right? You can't like hook the Hog and punish him for it, right? You don't have like the team comp. Right, no reason to be peeking right now. You see, you're still down players, and the enemy team's too close, right? Like they have all these angles on you, and your team is down players, right? So they can't take any angles quite yet. And you see like pretty much the default main angle is like not that good, right? So, right, no reason to be peeking. You should have backed out sooner. Again, force out your entire breather. You're forcing your Ana to like peek main to heal you, and you force out Suzu from your Kiri, right? Because you're just taking these engages too early and at like bad positions, right? Again, you're low on breather, you're down your Ana, just don't even peek, right? Let them overextend. And I will say from like watching this guy's defense, he overextends a lot. The difference between you literally just being like pretty much AFK here and letting him peek into you, and you like wide peeking his entire team into him is like night and day. Right, when you have defense, I'll say again here, obviously you bait out Kiri Rush. Probably just gonna get killed. Yeah. You just open yourself up, continuously taking too much damage in like these bad engages, right? And you just like let yourself get flanked because you're just too low on resources. Just come back on ball. I think you can come back on Hog. I don't know if you're swapping ball to like contest cart, but like you can see the cart's still pretty far away. But ball's okay, right? If you want to go harass the back line. Here, just don't stand around his sight line, obviously. When you get hooked, right, you should be trying your best to just roll away, especially right, he's hooking you in front of his entire team. Don't even shoot him, just roll away. Avoidable death there, it's okay. Say right, you don't need to contest quite yet. I apologize. Right, you can try to roll high ground, right? So you're ignoring the Hog. Try to like boop these people off high ground to like deny their angle and like stall cart or something. You know, harass the Widow, and then when the cart gets closer, right, then you can start playing cart. It's just too early. You know, you don't need to contest cart because you're just kind of opening yourself up to eat all this damage for no reason, right? Again, you had a little bit more time to play with, but I'm sure you can see like that engage was just too main centered. I don't know how often you play ball, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I don't think you mentioned you main ball or anything, so that's alright.
My payload's moving.
Here on Queen, I'd play it like a hog, right? I'd just pretty much push cart until maybe you get to about here, and then you can start peeking like the corner there to like look for their tank, a pick on their tank or something. And if their tank's playing passive, then just push cart to like this corner here and just see what you can do from there, right? No reason to be like peeking this early, especially as Queen, because you just can get like kind of like sniped sometimes. It's a kill. Unfortunate, your Mercy really shouldn't be dying there. It's okay. Right, you see you can't like challenge a Widow from this distance, so it's perfectly okay just to push cart up until the corner, right? So your team, or at least you have cover at the corner, and you can start like harassing their backline from that position. It's okay, yeah, I'm waiting to get healed, right? So you're actually doing the right thing here, right? You're waiting to get healed before you peek the hog. And you see, like, you're not killable means to do, right? He overextends, and you have all your cooldowns, and you punish him for it, right? That's kind of what you want to do. Obviously, it could have been cleaner, but that's, like, fundamentally what you want to do, right? You want to wait for them to blow their resources. Like, he had no hook, you saw he used a lot of breather, and he was overextended with, like, half HP, and you just use all your resources to kill him, right? Now they just lose the team fight immediately, because he, like, makes those mistakes. Here, you saw the Ash go high ground. This is fine here. No, this is actually okay. I was gonna say maybe it would have been faster to go like straight up the stairs, right side, but this is okay to like cut off their retreat, right? Obviously, don't axe your teammates. Unfortunate, no one on your team was pushing cart. That's a good thing about you pushing cart, especially on this map, right? Kind of sucks as Queen, but it happens sometimes. It's okay to wait, right? Because your team has to push cart up. Controlling the corner is fine. Could be a bit more patient with that knife, because if you knife the hog down, look how like bad his positioning is. All right, he's just out of LOS of his supports, and he's just gonna instantly die again, right? I think he actually drops down a few seconds after this and just dies anyway. So, see, it's kind of like useless to take these long peeks, right? You should be doing your best at this point to either control their hog, right? Like push him or like try to knife him down, or control this angle so the rest of the team can't support him, right? Isolate him that way. Even if you knife the Widow, right, and pull her on the floor, she's still not gonna die. So, it's fine. See, he drops down, your entire team dies. Here, you probably should have saw, if you're like holding the corner, you should have noticed that the Mercy and Ash are top. Or I guess you catch on now. Right, this is good. I will say, if it's Queen, right, if you have the opportunity, right, throw a knife, shoot, throw a knife, and then axe afterwards, right? If you get the free lineup, you might as well use like the harder to hit stuff like the knife and the and the gun instead of axe, because axe is pretty like easy to hit, right? I mean, you just when you're in range and you spin around, you're gonna like be guaranteed to hit it. Here, you should have noticed, it's unfortunate timing. You could have noticed that the Yari was shooting you, right? Just killing the Yari like guarantees you win the fight instead of like dropping in the Bob. That's okay. It happened at like the exact same time. So here, small tip: I wouldn't knife pull the Bob because it's just gonna mess up your team's aim, right? Once you get the knife in Bob, you're already getting the auto heal. So like, no real reason to do so, right? Here, I would ult this, right? These people are taking a 2v, or sorry, it's kind of not exactly a 3v5, but it kind of is, right? You see your entire team except your Ana is here, and their hog is like 300 HP, and if you just ult like here, because the hog doesn't have hook to like interrupt it anymore, right? You kill the hog, because he's gonna die because he's purple to like no HP, and you're probably gonna kill the Mercy anyways because you'll hit her too. And right, their teammates are about to respawn just by knowing the spawn timers, right? They're probably gonna respawn. Yes, they literally just respawn. So if you ult now, you're just like guaranteed to cap the point. So that's a missed opportunity there. Unfortunately, no one's on cart again. That's kind of the problem with taking these fights too far away from cart. Sometimes your team will just like get baited to get off cart, right? So you could have been playing a bit better. I think this is kind of on your team. Something to keep in mind for the future, right? If you notice they're having difficulty pushing cart, maybe don't take fights this aggressive. I think this fight's, this ult's a little worse. One, because like, you do it too late, you let your Moira die, and two, you hit 3 people, but you're not hitting the Mercy, so she's still gonna be able to get her res, right? I think it's still good because the Hog's weak. You see, because you kind of do it too late and kind of let them LOS you, right? Because they're not in this like giant long sight line. You can't track the Hog as well, and he gets healed back to full. So yeah, it's just why it's not as effective. Of course, you're overextending here, right? You end up paying for it, right? I think if you ulted earlier when they were all 3 lined up, the Ashe, Mercy, and Hog, you would have won the fight when your entire team was with you, right? And then been able to cap out. Here, I want to be peeking here. As just you and the Genji, right? I mean, your support slowly just respawned. I guess your Moira's maybe out, or she's probably fading in spawn. But like, there's really no reason to. You're like 99% of the time not going to kill anyone, and if you get hooked or like slept, or I guess they don't have an Ana anymore. If you get like hooked or like headshot by the Widow, there's a chance you die, right? If your Genji dies, he dies. It's okay to peek with him, but like you see, you just get your shroud forced out for kind of no reason. Yeah, good dodge. You see, you get a lot of value there. Because you force out the hook, you force out the trap, and you force out the dynamite. I don't like going this way. Your Ana shouldn't be peeking because they have walls. That's on her, but you know, I don't like going this way because it's just like one like tiny room where it's really easy for them to land shots, right? And it's like hard for your team to peek, but it's okay. Like it's kind of on your Ana for peeking there. Could have backed out a little early. This is the end of the world. They use 3 ults in the fight, so I wouldn't look too much into that, right? I think the primary issue is just kind of peeking that like awkward angle. It was partially on your team because they shouldn't all be following you there, but that fight's not that. That's fine. You should hear the Ashe behind you. I don't know if you play with a headset. I actually don't. Obviously I do when I record this stuff, right? So she's just a way easier pick than the Widow. Oops. Right, she's just gonna blow you up here and kill you. Unfortunate, right? It's alright, you shout. Again, I don't think that fight's like the end of the world, right? I mean, your team gets a lot of picks. Definitely could have played that a little bit better, but it's okay. So after a reset, I would be swapping Ball at this position, right? D.Va's also okay, but Ball's just a little faster, right? The timing is just at a point where like Ball is just consistent touching card. Here, you kind of have to ignore the Widow. You have to be the one on card as tank in these overtime situations, unless you're coordinating. At least in my opinion, right? Because you're just the tankiest player on the team. But this is obviously like pretty much an unwinnable position, so. Here, I will say no reason to booster, right? Just play cart. Just be playing your life as long as possible. All you do by playing or boostering is like make yourself easy to shoot, right? It's okay. Again, I'm sure you can see you made a lot of other mistakes this round, and on defense. Like it's not too worth going in too much detail. I would say if you played your life a bit better, your Moira would have been able to come back with coalescence, right? Die the moment they like all show back up, so maybe some chances to fight. So that's why playing cover and stuff and forcing people to peek you when you're at a disadvantage is like always beneficial, right? So again, I'll reiterate. I think your primary issue is like your positioning, right? You're like kind of forcing your team to take these really awkward fights where the enemy team often has like a lot of line of sight on you, but you don't have a lot of LOS on the enemy team. Or sorry, the enemy team has a lot of LOS on you, but your team doesn't have like a lot of LOS on the enemy team. When like you hook them, for example, or like you take these fight engages, your cover usage could definitely use a lot of work, right? You take a lot of damage, a lot of spam damage for no reason, right? When you can't actively trade well, like when you don't have knife as queen, you don't have hook as hog, you should like limit the amount of times you do these wide peaks, like far away from cover, so you don't need a ton of spam. And like you're not going to do damage from like 20 meters away without your like hook or knife anyways, right? So it to like scout, jiggle peek to scout's okay, or like shoot the tank, but you just don't want to be challenging these snipers when you don't have your cooldowns, right? And 3, I think you need to be more aware of your resources, right? And again, the big ones with you so far are your HP and your breather, right? Again, like paying attention to your other cooldowns and excuse me, the player advantages or disadvantages is also very important. But I think if you pay more attention to your HP and stop taking these like fights when you really don't need to, and let the enemy team overextend into you, you'll see a lot of improvement, right? And just to kind of like hammer in this last point, I'll show you an example of where you kind of bait the enemy team into peeking you, right? When they're low on resources, and capitalize and push when they're low on resources, right? You hit a good knife here. Okay, you trade a bit, right? You wait to get healed. I mean, not completely. Could did a little bit better. See, they use all these cooldowns, right? He peaks at low HP. You shout and just commit on him, right? So you instantly win the fight because you commit at a good time. And this hog is making the same mistake you made on defense, right? He's continuously re-peeking when he doesn't need to. And this is demonstrated like from your POV, right? Like this fight here is pretty like pretty exemplary of like what's happening. Like you're low on resources here, you're peeking, right? Get hooked. Get saved by your team, right? Your Ana dies for it. Decide to peek again for no reason, right? You're like half-ish HP, low on breather, so if you get hooked and you have no Suzu on your team, right, and your Ana's dead, so if you get hooked, you're in a bad spot, and if he gets hooked, he kind of just, right, I mean, if you, like, peek, it's way riskier for you than it is for him, right? I mean, you're still getting value if you hook him, right? But no reason to be peeking him, let him peek you in these situations, and you just, like I said here, right, you're just getting your resources drained further, force out rush, and he just gets to flank for free because you're just continuously draining your resources, right? It's kind of like, I think this fight's kind of like the trifecta of what's going wrong, right? You're not playing cover, you're in the open, right? Your positioning relative to your team isn't good, right? Because you're forcing your team to like peek in the sniper alley, right? And not letting them peek inside of you where your team can set up, for example, up top here or over here and like play around cart or like play around this entrance here, right? That's kind of what you want to be looking for. And you're continuously not keeping track of your HP and your breather, right? So yeah. I hope this helps.